Welcome to Part 1B of our ELA Spring Webinar Series. These recordings are based on the spring webinars we hosted in March 2025. The hosted webinars consisted of 2 sessions for grades 3 through 5. To reduce the length of the recordings, we have broken each of those 2 sessions into 2 sections. This is Part 1B in a series that also contains 1A, 2A, and 2B. While we will not be looking at all of the sample release items today, we will be taking an in-depth look at some of them. Please refer to the realigned sample release items on our Assessment Quick Links webpage. New items will be released in the fall of 2025. In Part 1A, we examined a 5th grade literary item and a 3rd grade research item. During this session, we also made connections to grades 1, 2, and 4. Session 2B will examine a 4th grade literary item and a 5th grade informational item. We will include information to support earlier grades as well. Let's look at a literary item from 4th grade. This is a 2-part evidence-based selected response item. One thing to note is there will no longer be EBSR items used in 4th grade on the ELA SC Ready assessment. However, it does not hurt to use these in the classroom because these items allow you to ask deeper questions. Use of this item type in the classroom is not limited to multiple choice. The second part of the question could easily be a short answer response. The cognitive level of this item is a 3. In this case, it is asking students to determine a theme, which by itself is a cognitive level 2, and then it is asking students to support their answer with text evidence. This is what makes the item a cognitive level of 3. If the test item provided the student with a theme from the text and then asked the student to provide text evidence, the cognitive level would still be a 3. This item aligns with AOR 2.1. There are 2 parts to AOR 2.1 in 4th grade. One is to identify an explicit theme and explain how it is developed by key details. The other is to identify an implicit theme and how it is developed by key details. An explicit theme is one that is stated directly to the reader. On SC Ready, this could appear in a fable or any literary text where the theme is directly stated. Identifying an explicit theme is a cognitive level 1. An implicit theme is one that is not directly stated and requires the reader to make inferences based on key details used throughout the text. Identifying an implicit theme is a cognitive level 2 because students must make inferences. The sample item we are looking at today targets an implicit theme. If a student has trouble making inferences or does not know what key details are, that student will have difficulty determining a theme. This part of the sample question could be used formatively in class to determine which students need additional support determining theme. I also want to point out that the themes presented as answer options are statements and do not consist of 1 or 2 words such as love or happiness. To be successful with this type of question, the student must be able to do a close read of the text, have a working knowledge of theme, and know that an author develops a theme by using key details. The student should be able to summarize the text. The student should be able to locate key details in the text, and the student should be able to make an inference based on key details. Remember that this item was originally written for the 2015 standards. While some of the answer options, including the correct one, use dialogue, the student does not have to rely on the dialogue as a key detail. The student also has to focus on the content of the answer options. Assuming that the student determines the correct theme in Part A, he or she is now looking in the text for details about happiness. In Option A, we know that Sam enjoys the feel of the sand, which could be related to happiness. Options B and C have no contextual information relating to happiness. Option D says that Sam smiled, and his quote includes an exclamation point. We can infer that he is happy if he is smiling and using an exclamation point. Also in Option D, Sam tells us that it was one of the best days of his life. Because there are many literary elements in this text, teachers can use the text as part of instruction. Within this sample text, teachers can adequately target AOR 2.1, 1.2, 3.1b, 6.1, and 7.1a. If you use this passage as a mentor text, you must first read the passage with the learning goals in mind. While reading, identify the sections of text that support the instruction of the selected indicators. Then create short indicator-aligned questions for each learning goal. The questions should always drive students back into the text. You can also scaffold the questions to support all learners and provide information on who is missing the primary knowledge. By first asking students, what is imagery? You can determine which students need additional support building that knowledge. If you then ask a student to find and show an example of imagery in the passage, it lets you know if they are looking at the correct part of the text to make that determination, or if they are guessing or misreading the text. Then, if you ask students to explain how they know that section of text is an example of imagery, you can determine if the student has a full understanding or if there are some wobbles in connecting the element to the text. Lastly, the fourth grade indicator asks that students be able to explain how the imagery in the text impacts the meaning of a section or of the whole text. Students who cannot complete steps 1 through 3 in this list will not be able to complete step 4. By approaching this in steps, you can determine which part or parts of the knowledge students are missing. That will then allow you to provide targeted instruction to strengthen or build that student's knowledge. Most students at the elementary level do not have experience with annotations. Modeling annotations can help. Remember to have a purpose in mind before annotating. Do you want students to pay attention to figurative language? Model that first. Show them how to find examples and provide a list of questions for them to choose from as they annotate. We will show examples in just a moment. This also provides the teacher with formative data to quickly determine which students are ready to move to a different analysis or annotation of the text and which students need additional instruction. For this story, students may need to learn some vocabulary words before they can fully comprehend the text. In the sample here, you notice the noun surf. The teacher may wish to show a picture of the surf to help students better visualize the beach setting. One way to target vocabulary is to ask students to use context clues, which aligns with AOR 7.1. By asking the question as shown, you are providing the students with the definition and then asking them to locate words and phrases in the sentence that provide context. This allows the teacher to determine which students need support with finding sentence or paragraph level context. Here you see the possible context words and phrases students can mark in the text to support the definition of surf as used in this excerpt. Annotations can also help the teacher determine whether the student comprehends a text. While these questions target character development, which is a vital part of AOR 1.1, these questions do not fully address the fourth grade indicator of AOR 1.1. Question 2 requires students to make inferences. AOR 8.1 asks students to distinguish between literal and non-literal meanings of words and phrases. Notice these questions ask students to begin with the literal meaning before moving into the non-literal meaning. This will allow teachers to determine which students need additional support. Question 4 also targets AOR 1.2. Remember that imagery entered the language of the indicator in grade 1. Once you have modeled the close reading and annotating of a text or section of text with students, provide students with a different text and allow them time to repeat the same process in small groups. Use questions to guide their thinking about the text and require that they mark or highlight the text as they work. Now let's look at a 5th grade informational item. On the left, you see the 2024 indicator for AOR 5.3. On the right, you see the 2015 indicator for RI 511.2. These two indicators are not dramatically different in skill, but in academic vocabulary, they are. The term argument enters the indicator for the first time in 5th grade AOR 5.3. While students have encountered argument in writing, they have not encountered it in reading. Because the word is in red, this means that it is new language for the 5th grade teacher in reading, and new language to the 5th grade student. This will be the first year students will read argumentative texts. Also new to 5th grade is tracing the development of an argument. While this encompasses reasons and evidence from RI 11.2, it also adds claim in place of the word points. Claim will be new language to 5th grade students and 5th grade teachers. In this excerpt from the Assessment Specifications document, teachers learn what the expectation is for tracing an author's argument and the expectations on SC Ready. If you are unfamiliar with the Assessment Specifications documents, watch Part 1A of this series. 5th grade teachers will have to bridge a language gap this school year because of the new language in the standards around argument. This may also carry into the 2025-26 school year. Here you see the progression of AOR 5.3 from grades 3 through 5. This slide shows how teachers in 4th and 5th grades will need to build students' vocabulary around arguments because this year's 4th and 5th grade students will not have had instruction in these terms. One reason why this is so important is because the TDW item for 5th grade is an argumentative task. Students must develop the skills in AOR 5.3 to support their writing skills in Communication 1.1. Remember that summative assessment test items are very flat compared to instruction. So this may look different in a multiple choice test item than it does in the classroom. This item is asking students to determine the best evidence to support the author's claim in the passage. This question only targets one part of AOR 5.3, as you see here in blue. This item does not cover the entire indicator and does not provide enough information to the teacher to determine whether or not the student has mastered the full indicator. Let's look at how we can work backward from a multiple choice item targeting claims and evidence to locating claims and evidence within a section of text. This is especially important for 5th grade students because they will be writing an argument for the TDW item. Studying claims, reasons, and evidence in text is a great lead into writing claims. In the sample item, the claim is provided to the student, and the student is then asked to determine which provided statement is the best piece of supporting evidence. A short argumentative text or section of argumentative text is a great place to start. After instruction and modeling of determining claims, reasons, and evidence in a text, students should be provided the opportunity to trace the argument on their own. This can begin by asking students to locate the claim, such as you see here. Students who are unsuccessful in determining the claim may need additional instruction on differing between opinions and claims. This could easily be done in small groups using a card sort. Provide the group with a stack of cards, some containing opinions and others containing claims. Ask students to sort the cards. This will allow students to discuss the differences between opinion and claim. Remember, a claim is a debatable statement. Using this text, once students are successful determining the claim, ask students how they know it is a claim. You want to hear answers such as, the author wants the government to regulate drones. Other people may not want that. This shows that the claim is debatable. Part of tracing an argument includes being able to determine supporting reasons and evidence. Working with these skills in reading will enhance students' argumentative writing, which will be assessed through the TDW item on SC Ready. The process for this can be similar to what we did with claim. Use a text and ask students to underline, circle, or highlight the reasons that support the claim. In this slide, the orange text. Then ask students to use a different method or color to mark the evidence. In this slide, the blue text. This is a quick way for teachers to formatively assess which students need additional support. One strategy teachers may want to consider is similar to what we did with claim. First, place students into 2 groups. Give each student in group 1 a different claim. Give each student in group 2 one reason that supports one of the claims. Allow students to match their claims and supporting reasons. Then ask students to explain how they knew their claim and reason went together. The same process can be used for claim and evidence and reason and evidence. Also, check your textbook for short argumentative texts. The partial argument used in the previous slides was written by our education associates for this presentation. These are the resources we use to write our partial argument. Because the ELA standards do not specify one specific way of citing sources, we are only providing the links to our resources. We are not formatting our sources to avoid dictating one style over another. This is part 1B of a series. To learn more about the TDW items and writing instruction, watch parts 2A and 2B for ELA grades 3 through 5. Thank you for watching this recording.